What makes you so sure that Zombie Takeout isn't just a fairy tale?
This is history. The real deal.
What's up? Welcome to episode 334 of Zombie Takeout.
Zombie Takeout.
The B-Movie and Cult Movie Podcast. I'm Uncle John.
And I'm Scotto.
And before we get to this week's movie, just a couple of things I wanted to talk about that I watched over the break. On Twitter, Bodo had asked if I had seen Diary of the Dead yet. I replied saying I just found a copy and I was going to watch it that night. I actually ended up watching it a couple of nights later, but I finally did see it. Now, just to preface, it's a found footage movie.
Wow.
Centering on a group of college students who are making a horror film at the start of the actual movie. You know, the movie within the movie is at the start of the actual movie. And it just follows them through the zombie apocalypse. And of course, the director of that film is the one who's behind the camera most of the time. It sounds horrible on paper.
What year did he make a found footage movie, though?
I think it was 2007 or 2008.
Oh, okay. That was...
Yeah, around the same time as Cloverfield. Having said all that, I really liked it. Romero uses the found footage to make a point about, how we have all of these various inputs that we're getting bombarded with all the time, all these different perspectives. I kind of disagree with the point because he was saying it's better to just have one vetted perspective instead of all of these, random unvetted perspectives. I disagree with that, but he made the point very well.
Fucking podcast. I mean, you can't do that.
And I mean, it was 2007, 2008. He probably wrote it a couple of years earlier. It was a bit before new media was a thing, and really before YouTube and Twitter really harnessed all of that. But he made the point well. Tatiana Maslany, who eventually went on to star in Orphan Black, is in it, albeit too briefly. Like I said, overall, really liked it. The ending was rushed. There was one really exploitative scene toward the end with the girl from Texas. Those who've seen it know what I'm talking about. The only nudity in the movie. And it was just a weirdly exploitive moment that went a little tone deaf and comedic in a movie that had nothing exploitive or comedic in it. I don't know where that came from. There was a weird capper scene. Overall, I'd give it a 4. I'd recommend it. Probably one of the better of the series.
Wow.
I also saw, I've seen, I think 4 episodes so far. I'm catching up on the Gong Show remake that aired on ABC this past summer.
Now, who's hosting this? I thought it was Dave Attell, but you're saying it wasn't?
Well, first off, the acts are beautifully weird and would have fit in perfectly when Chuck was hosting.
Nice.
So, big recommendation for that. The judges are a bit subdued, which I think is an improvement. The original judges were a little too over the top for me. It was just a little too chaotic. Presumably, presumably the judges now are sober, so they're a little mellow. They're not completely dead, but they're just a little mellower.
TV's boring now.
Yeah, the host is interesting. It's Tommy Maitland.
Ooh, not familiar with him.
It's Mike Myers in a bunch of latex makeup playing a British character.
Okay, you've got my attention. That's really weird.
Well, that's the thing. Because I wasn't sure how to feel about it at first, because it is weird, but weird is good for the Gong Show.
Of course.
And Mike Myers as himself would have stolen too much focus.
Yeah.
Everybody would have been waiting for Mike Myers to do something crazy. My only complaint about it is it's Mike Myers playing a British character. We know what Mike Myers does with British characters. We've seen it ad nauseum.
It's kind of amazing he hasn't done another Austin Powers movie, actually.
If Austin Powers had never been made, I'd be fine with it. But it's just the shtick is a bit tired. That's my only issue. My real issue with it is that the current version of Gene Gene the Dancing Machine is...
You can't have another Gene Gene the Dancing Machine.
Well, not another Gene Gene, but their sort of variation on the theme of the random guy who comes out and doesn't get judged.
Yeah.
It's a guy named Albert who comes out in a barbershop quartet outfit and sings a couple of verses of Shaving Cream.
Oh, no.
I kind of liked it the first couple of times.
But no.
It was entertaining the first couple of times.
Right.
The problem is he's in every episode.
If you have enough people that sing shaving cream enough times,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
never want to hear it.
It was weird. It was, unexpected the first couple of times, but then I weirdly I watched the first episode or the last episode first because that's just the one that came up when I started watching it. And then he was in that, and then I went back to the first episode, and he was in that, and it got to the second episode, and okay, is this guy going to be here every time?
Oh, no.
And I skimmed through all of the episodes. He's in every one of them.
I mean, see, the beauty of Gene the Dancing Machine is that, people went nuts while he was doing it, I mean, to see, like, when they would show, the making of and just show panning back while he was doing that.
Right.
It was like the place just went insane.
Yeah.
They just out of their seats, all everyone dancing, and just, I mean, they couldn't convey on TV just how nuts it was.
Right, yeah. The other nice thing about Gene is he was occasional when they needed to fill time.
Yeah.
He wasn't every week. If Gene was there every week, it would have gotten old real quick.
And people wouldn't have minded seeing him every week almost, though,
But yeah, Albert gets old very quickly. But it's all on demand now. You're not watching it on TV. So you can skip over him.
Like, it was also the band had an excuse to just kind of jam a bit,
Yeah, that's
jazz,
true. Yeah.
This, I mean, shaving cream is just, oof.
But I'll just describe a couple of the acts.
It's just chopsticks with lyrics, I mean, it's just awful.
I'll just describe a couple of the acts to give you a sense of how good they are, though, and this is why I absolutely recommend it. There's a guy riding a unicycle in a bear outfit with a kilt playing bagpipes that occasionally shoot fire. A rapper who performs while walking on broken glass because he says he's trying to prove how tough he is. And probably my favorite act I've seen in a long time, zombie ballet. Which is exactly what it sounds like.
Of course.
So it's on abc.com or Hulu if you have those. Otherwise, I think you can find clips of most of the acts on YouTube. And of course, you can, be creative otherwise. All right, so on to this week's movie, which is Sharknado 5 Global Swarming. Getting this one in just before the end of summer. Of course, that brings us to the impromptu plot summary, sponsored by Booby-Trapped Ancient Temples. Just leave everything where it is. Nothing good comes from taking any of it. I think we've learned that by now.
And also brought to you by the Commodore 54. How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
No, really. How dare you?
Yeah.
All right, so we've done this before. We've done this several times. We have the Finn's family. They really don't even bother with anything as to why they're doing something. They're in England, and Sharknadoes appear. Even though, like, the thing that causes the Sharknado that they claim, causes it in the end, the gemstone and whatever MacGuffin thing that they have, or talisman, I guess you would call that. They happen before that.
Yeah, they're already in England when the shit hits the fan. Yeah,
right. So they do this Indiana Jones thing in the cave, with the weighing of the, things before.
I did like the Indiana Jones references.
And then I kind of felt like this is really a movie for people with ADHD kind of thing, where it's just like, okay, we've parodied this for 20 minutes. Now we're going to parody this for 20 minutes.
Right.
So, the Sharknadoes come. They only this time there's a strange vortex that they travel around the world in.
Mm-hmm.
The Sharknadoes destroy everything, and I do mean everything. We meet a lot of interesting people, played by a lot of very great cameos, of course.
Do we want to spoil the ending? Let's leave it up. Let's not get too specific about it.
Right. So, yeah, pretty much. everything is destroyed
Hmm.
and all hope is lost. But then the next parody is Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And hilarity ensues.
Mm-hmm. Loved the Raiders ref, especially when they're breaking into the temple, her and Finn. And the Mad Magazine reference was a nice touch, because that was a little obscure. The fold out.
The fold out. Everybody loved the Mad Magazine fold out.
And I love that there was a shark temple under Stonehenge. They actually destroy Stonehenge at the beginning of the movie.
It was very National Lampoon's European Vacation, actually.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the parodies. These movies are about the parodies, the cameos, and the absurdity. The plot is a skeleton to make an excuse for all of that. I would like them to finally get rid of all the sexual tension between Finn and Nova.
Well,
and I don't know if that's scripted or if that's just a thing with Ian Ziering and Cassandra Skirbo, but it's just kind of getting old at this point.
Right. It was kind of disappointing that they brought her back. And
she's going to be in the odd number movies. I think we've established that. Actually, she's probably going to be in 6, given what they did.
Right. Do you think they're going to actually finish it up in 6?
Oh, who knows? I mean, the cliffhanger is very effective. This one ends on a cliffhanger that leads right into 6, so they kind of have to do 6 now.
Right.
Even more so than 3 did, and even 4 ended up on kind of a cliffhanger when the Eiffel Tower rolled in. This ends up...
It'd be really funny if they actually didn't do another one after this, and this was the last. So they had to,
true.
That. I was kind of thinking that. Like, how funny would that be?
Yeah.
They're like, fuck it, we're done.
Now, the CGI in this one is even worse than usual. But I kind of liked that. It's kind of charming.
Well, I don't know if it's any worse than the past. The past one's CGIs were pretty damn bad.
Maybe there's just so much more of it that it looks worse.
I think they were being more obvious with how bad it was, with the sharks.
Mm-hmm. I did like the line about not petting the sharks. There's this warning on the news about, don't approach them, don't antagonize them, don't pet them. Like, who's going to pet a shark? And I have to say, this is Chris Kattan's best work since SNL. He kind of makes the beginning of the movie.
Well, actually, no. It's kind of like, wait a minute, is that... It was one of those where I actually had to look at it, break out the IMDb.
Yeah.
A lot of the cameos were pretty much lost on me, though.
Same here. I caught maybe a 5 or 6 of them.
Like, I didn't recognize Samantha Fox at first.
I did recognize her. She's actually a surprisingly decent actor. At least in the part she was given here.
But, as soon as she said, I want to have some fun, I would have put it together. But, I'm talking about, there's a lot of, I don't know, different, like, reality TV show stars that made appearances in here.
Yeah, exactly. And most of those I didn't catch.
Even when I was told they were in there, I was still like, oh, were they? Who? What? Okay.
I did get a kick out of them hitting Bret Michaels with the double-decker.
That was a really good cameo. That was the second best cameo.
Because they don't...
the entire...
Because they don't just run him over, they hit him, and he's alive on the front of the bus for a while until it overturns and he gets eaten by a shark.
I think I just killed Bret Michaels, and then they go full Python with those. Actually, I'm okay.
And I thought they were going to do like a Mad Max thing where he's got a flying V guitar with him, and I thought they were going to do a Mad Max thing where he's using the guitar to shoot at the sharks, but
that would have been great.
And I was so glad to see the London Eye. If you're going to do a disaster movie in London, you got to unleash the London Eye.
Where they said they had a deja vu. Or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they'll probably, 3 was set in Universal, and they probably had, a similar thing there. I don't really remember. Now, at one point, April pulls down a helicopter that's about to crash with Nova and Finn. I had forgotten that she is pretty much all robotic at this point. She's pretty much Ghost in the Shell. She's, Major Kusanagi. The only issue I have with that is that establishes that she weighs more than a helicopter. How the hell does she fly in an airplane if she weighs more than a helicopter?
Well, she also created a vortex, too, by turning around, and that somehow
Mm-hmm.
You can't even try to think about these things, or you really are just, your head's just going to explode.
Yeah, that one just caught me. Great to see a variation on the morning show chorus. Good Morning Britain instead of, Good Day New York.
Right, and they did the Australian morning show too.
Yeah.
Like Today Australia.
Yeah, those are always great. Now, the best cameo you were referring to. I wonder if we're agreeing on this one. Is it the Queen?
No.
Oh, okay, because that was my favorite.
I mean, in fact, I thought that was Carol Channing.
It's Charo.
I didn't realize it was Charo until like tonight.
Charo. Charo as the Queen of England. She doesn't have any lines, fortunately. She just kind of stands there, but still, if you're old enough to remember Charo, it's hilarious.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, like plastic surgery face, it could have been either one. Tell you the truth.
Fair point. Is Carol Channing still with us?
I don't know.
Okay. And I
just thought that was Carol Channing.
Yeah. And I was very happy that they wrote out the kid very quickly.
Well, the kid is the MacGuffin.
He becomes the MacGuffin, but he's not in most of the movie, at least not in terms of acting. He does some horrible acting for like 10 minutes and then gets pulled away by a Sharknado, and they're chasing him for the rest of the movie.
Right. He's flying around in the Sharknado for the whole movie. And yeah, there's different ways of jumping into a Sharknado to try to grab him out.
Yeah.
And doesn't go through the vortex? I don't know. Yeah. You can't. Don't even try.
Right.
You just can't think about these things. And of course, when I'm saying the best cameo, Gilbert Godfrey goes without saying.
Yeah, of course.
So he's not the best cameo. You know what? I was realized...
Because he was in the last one. I figured he's a given at this point. He's going to say whatever NATO. That's just a thing they're going to do from now on.
I didn't realize he wasn't in any of the ones before 4.
I think 4 was his first, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of surprising. You would think he would be a fixture.
Yeah, true.
He
should
be.
5. Well, hopefully he will be from now on.
His Ron McDonald character.
Right, exactly. I love that they killed off Geraldo Rivera in a blimp.
I love that there was a vault that he opened and there was nothing in it. I could have sworn there's something in there. But no, the greatest cameo of this, without a doubt, is the Pope. Yeah,
I had a feeling you were going to say that. We'll get to him. Well, I just want to take it a little sequentially. There's a moment where they're in the Alps and they have to ski away from Sharknado. Because, as you pointed out, they're following Moonraker.
Yes.
And they need a helicopter. So April, who again is mostly robotic, has a ski like behind her head and is spinning around on the jets that shoot out of her feet. Reminded me so much of the "We're Not Going to Take It" video.
Oh yeah.
When the kid spins,
where they got that effect when they turn into.
When the kid spins around and turns into Dee Snider, it looked just like that.
These are definitely 1983 special effects.
Uh-huh.
And like they made them on the Commodore.
Yeah. At one point, April gets fairly damaged and is very damaged, actually, and is taken in to be repaired. And it was actually Olivia Newton-John's daughter has this line. Olivia Newton-John is the doctor who's putting her back together. And her daughter has the line that it looks like somebody put a Commodore 54 into a MacBook Pro. I gotta hope that was deliberately wrong.
I think it was.
Yeah. Because anybody who's over 35 knows it's a 64. I should hope any people younger than that would at least have some knowledge of the Commodore 64. Hell, I didn't have one, but I know that.
I think some kids had their fancy 128s and stuff, but
64 was the big one.
Yeah.
I am glad that they explained what happened to Gemini, or why she was in the last movie anyway, replacing Nova. She was part of the Sharknado Sisterhood, is that what they were called?
Talk about retconning, huh?
Because apparently Nova's been running this organization called the Sharknado Sisterhood for like a long time now, even though she was on her own almost on her own with Frankie Muniz in the first movie, or Muniz, sorry, in the second movie, or the third one.
Oh, who knows? They all really blend together.
They do blend together. And in that scene with Olivia Newton-John, there was a great Grease reference. The daughter says, "Tell me about it," and she says, "No, don't." Now, one of my favorite cameos, Tony Hawk.
Ah.
I'm a skateboarding fan. I mean, I'm not a big Vert fan, but still, it's Tony fucking Hawk. The Sydney Opera House has been converted into a base for the Sharknado Sisterhood, and one of the panels that you see, if you've seen the Sydney Opera House, you've got those sort of shells on the outside. They adjust and turn into a weapon. Except one of them is stuck, so Tony Hawk has to skate up to the top of it and then fix something. It's Tony Hawk.
Skate up.
I don't know. It was just great to see Tony Hawk. Another fun cameo that I did not see coming at all, and I don't quite understand why they gave it to this guy. It's because it's more than just a cameo. It's really kind of a small role. The villain in Italy, Greg Louganis.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah.
The whole that was a very wait, what? I know they're doing a James Bond thing where they're doing a chase through Rome,
and it started in Brazil, ended up in Rome because the Sharknado brought them there. And Greg Louganis is a great overactor, like Jeffrey Combs level. Yeah, I would love to see him do more.
Definitely, I'd like to see him work with Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. And hasn't Downtown Julie Brown been in other Sharknado movies? I swear she has. She kind of is the liaison for the Pope. She kind of leads them to the Pope. And yeah, now the time has come.
So yeah, I've been going around today and talking about this, going like, okay, who's the most famous Italian person in the world?
Right.
No, like Pacino. No, no. You're thinking about this wrong. You're thinking actors. I'm just talking about the most famous Italian person in the
and
world.
Also not Italian American, actually Italian.
Exactly. That too. Now, Mrs. Scotto just couldn't even guess. But one of my coworkers, once I said that, he was like, Fabio. I was like, yes.
Fabio as the Pope, who gives Finn the tricked out chainsaw that he always has to get in every movie.
I hope they keep this one though. I mean, because it's got papal lasers and stuff.
Yeah, better than the laser chainsaw from 3.
I mean, of course, though. When's the last time the Pope's actually been Italian?
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't think he's been Italian in my life.
Right.
Or maybe so long ago I couldn't even remember it.
And they straightened the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah, I did not notice that.
That's where the big fight between Greg Louganis and Finn happened, in the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Okay.
And the Sharknado went over it and straightened it. That was straight out of Python. Yeah. That's a Terry Gilliam moment right there.
Well, in the intro, 22 minutes in, they even did the big foot.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And I loved the Sharkzilla. Earlier in the film, in Gemini's little scene, a bunch of toxic waste gets spilled into the ocean while the Sharknado is happening. And you have this mass of sharks in the shape of a shark that, when it gets to Japan, is called the Sharkzilla. At one point, it attacks a beach with Margaret Cho and Jay Rodriguez from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy playing a couple. Loved that.
I was wondering who the guy was with her.
Yeah, he was on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Those two playing a couple was great.
Yeah, I recognize Margaret Cho, of course.
Of course. The Xfinity ad was just way too obvious, though.
There were several Infinity product placements in there, too.
Product placement is fine.
Well, no, when the sign when everything was destroyed except for this Xfinity thing, just hanging down.
But I don't even mind the product placement. But when Matt, or is it Matt? Yeah, his son, Finn's son, says, "Let me open the Xfinity streaming app." And I'm not shitting you. That is the exact fucking line.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a little too much. And why was Nova suddenly dressed as Wonder Woman? The rest of the Sharknado sisters were in the leather jacket and leather pants like they normally, like they wear in every other scene. Much more practical, makes sense. Nova suddenly shows up dressed as Wonder Woman.
Because Wonder Woman came out this year.
Well, yes, exactly. That's why. I'm just wondering what the internal logic of suddenly having her change into something much less practical. Not that I minded, but
there's kids out there that probably don't even remember the Matrix, so the whole being dressed in black leather just doesn't make as much sense anymore.
True. And the opening gag with the Tom Cruise reference. When Nova is in under Stonehenge to get into the temple, Finn shows up and he has to rappel down on a rope. He just jumps and, it lands at like a foot from the ground, harnessed like Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. And they reference, of course, Tom Cruise. Nobody got that reference. Now, this was the second time I saw it. I was a little surprised that, and I'm just going to spoil this one part. We're not going to spoil the big ending, but I will spoil this. They killed Nova.
But
when I didn't know where the movie was going, that shocked me.
But, they're all not dead.
Well, it leads to a cliffhanger. We'll get, we really won't get to that because that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, they killed Nova. I was shocked.
I mean, there really is no suspense here because, they're just going to revive everybody in the next movie.
Well, I just
it comes down to.
Yeah, but before I knew they were going to do that, I was surprised because she was the first of the major characters to die. In these movies, you figure all of the named characters are bulletproof. All the major characters.
But she has only appeared in the,
But she's still a major character. If she's
number ones.
If she's a shepherd or, sort of, adopted by a shepherd, because, Finn says we're family, she's bulletproof, you figure. But no.
Well, no, I thought that was the kiss of death when he was like, your family too. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe. Loved Al Roker's speech. Of course, Al Roker in a Sharknado movie is always brilliant, but he has a great speech in this one.
I'm today showed out. I'm glad that Matt Lauer wasn't in it.
Well, I don't really care about the rest of them. Kathy Lee had a brief scene, but Al Roker, you need him. Loved the Potnado joke with was it Jedward twins? They're sitting in Amsterdam watching a Sharknado come in and with a bong, and they say, "Ooh, Potnado." The CG at the end was, again, hilariously bad.
Yeah.
Kind of love and hate the cliffhanger. I love it for who it was.
It's not really a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, because they're all coming back. Everybody's going to be revived or time is, they're going to turn back time, whatever. Love it for who it was.
I guess we can expect a Cher cameo in the next one.
I love that they brought in Dolph Lundgren at the last minute. But I kind of hate that they forced another movie. Incidentally, the original title was going to be Sharknado 5 Earth Zero.
I would have liked that one better.
Yeah, better than Global Warming, yeah.
Yeah.
But it just seemed cheap to, so obviously set up a sequel. And me complaining about a Sharknado movie being cheap, I know.
I think one of the big disappointments in this one was there was no Hoff.
Yeah. They didn't get him back for this one.
But how do you...
Was he in? Yeah, he was in 4.
Yeah. Was he Grandpa when they're talking about, or was that Tara Reid's father?
Gil was with the daughter talking to some bigwigs at NASA or something. They established that with Matt on the phone.
But Matt was saying, Grandpa, the Colonel.
Yeah, I think that was the Colonel. Yeah, Gil is with the daughter, was with Claudia. I assumed that was Gil, Hoff's character.
That was, okay. So he was in the bunker, though.
He was with Claudia in Washington meeting with somebody.
Oh, okay. So we really have no idea what...
No, we don't know what happened to them. You can assume the entire world was killed.
That's true.
And that's as much of a spoiler as I'm going to give. Because the ending
Can you really spoil a Sharknado movie, though?
That ending, when Dolph Lundgren shows up is really kind of is the only reason I'm recommending it. Like, that put it over the line to recommend for me.
I mean, us telling them that Fabio is playing the Pope almost spoils it more than the actual
possibly. Anyway, sequels and remakes. It ends with a cliffhanger. There's definitely going to be a 7 unless they really give us a fuck 6. You. And there's probably going to be one every summer for the next decade.
Well, because, of course, the other thing is none of these actors are doing anything else.
Right. And even if Ian Ziering decides he doesn't want to do them anymore, I'm sure they'll recast Finn.
Yeah.
As long as Anthony Ferrante wants to keep making money off of them, they'll recast who they need to. On the brains.
On the brains.
It lost a half a brain for the... well, before I even get to that, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite on the same level. It was on par with 2 and 3, I think. But it wasn't quite as good, so I couldn't go 5. And then it lost a half a brain for the Xfinity ad, so I'm going 4.
I mean, it had its moments. There was a lot of it that I was just like, I'm not sure what they're getting at here, you know. But then, like, the Tony Hawk thing just was kind of like, okay, yeah, it's Tony Hawk, and he's a skateboarding guy, and he's skateboarding.
I like skateboarding.
Right. So, yeah, I'm going 3. I mean, because it did have some great cameos. And it, I mean, you can't go wrong with Gilbert Gottfried, but it needed to lose the Today Show, the U.S. Today Show at least, and just a lot of the old Dear Love Triangle stuff just needs to be put to rest.
Oh yeah, the whole thing with Finn and Nova, which isn't even on the page, it's just kind of played with those two actors. I don't know, it's just kind of odd.
And really, it was just like, if you remember playing out and outside as a little kid where you just like made shit up as you went along. That's pretty much what this movie was. Just watching adults play outside and like, we're in Australia now? How'd we get in Australia? I mean, this probably made the least sense of any Sharknado film.
Do you really watch a Sharknado movie for sense?
Well,
or good acting, or a plot.
You do watch it for it to be funny and to, you know, it kind of also loses the impact of people getting killed by a shark if everyone gets killed by a shark too.
True.
You know, I mean, if they could have had some more creative ways of offing people, you know, like Bret Michaels, they were starting to do something with him, and then they just had to get eaten by a shark in the end.
Like I said, it's really just Dolph Lundgren that makes that ending for me.
That was a nice cameo.
Yeah. Was Rutger Hauer in it early on? Or was I imagining that? Or am I not misremembering that?
Don't remember him in this.
Okay.
I definitely would.
Because I was just going to say, you know, the only thing better than Rutger Hauer at the end would have been Dolph Lundgren.
Why, if they're in Europe, why didn't they get Rutger Hauer? He's probably too much money, honestly.
True. Anyway, what have we learned?
We learned that vortexes could be much better than airlines.
And I learned that first thing you want to do when you have an annoying kid actor in the movie, get them sucked up by a Sharknado.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people would have like Phantom Menace.
I was going to say, imagine if there was a Sharknado in Phantom Menace.
Poor Jake.
All right, so until next time when we'll be reviewing The Beastmaster, I can't help but feel that this one is not going to live up to my memory.
Of course not. It's going to be really funny, though.
Yeah, true. Or at least our review should be entertaining.
Not in a good way.
Yeah.
Not intentionally.
I have a feeling something about why was John Amos in this film is going to be one of our suggested titles. Until then, go to zombietakeout.com, check out the album art, the episode description, and of course the episode itself, which you're already listening to. Links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. Links to subscribe via RSS and iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And if you enjoy the show, spread the word. Give us a little word of mouth. Of course, we appreciate all of the listeners we have, but more would be better. You also find the movie list, every movie we've reviewed so far, and every movie we're going to review, up through the science fiction double feature, which I was doing a little math, and if we only miss a few more weeks, we should be able to get everything in by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
We've got a few weeks to spare with that, so we should get through the science fiction double feature and our Christmas episode by the end of the year. And of course, the recommendations list. I think most of the Sharknado films aren't on the recommendation list now, because I don't think we recommended 4.
Yeah.
It's just 2 and 3 that got the double 5s.
Yeah.
You can also email us, zombietakeout@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 414-368-CTO1, or for the alphanumerically challenged.
You can go, I don't know, that nasty Sharkzilla pile.
414-368-9861. Of course, always remember that you'll always be calling from the middle of Milwaukee, and until next time, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.
What did you two do?
What makes you so sure this zombie takeout isn't just a fairy tale?